There is one food the women of Okinawa never gave up. Not as children, not at 90, not even on their last morning. And 6 more they quietly let go of after 70. I am an old man now, from those very islands. Let me show you. Sit with me a while. Let there be tea between us, and no hurry. I will not hand you a diet. I have no rules to sell, no fear to feed you. I only want to show you what nourished the longest living women on this earth, and what they quietly set aside along the way. On my islands, the old women don't count their years the way the West does. They count their gardens, their friends, their mornings. For most of their lives, less than 1 part in 100 of their food was meat. Almost none was milk, and still, their bones were strong. Their hearts were quiet, and they walked to the market at 90. As they grew older, they changed what they ate, not out of fear, out of wisdom. 7 foods. Some they let go of, and one they held on to until their very last morning. That one I'll save for the end. My grandmother kept a small field behind her house. Not rice. Rice never loved our stormy islands. She grew emo, the purple sweet potato. I can still see her hands, dark with the soil, lifting them up warm from the ground, and the steam when she split one open at the table. In the West, the plate begins with white rice or white bread. On Okinawa, for 400 years, it began with this purple root, and as the women grew older, they leaned on it even more. They let the white rice drift to the edge of the plate. I know how it feels. You were taught that a meal isn't a meal without its rice. It's bread. I understand. It's hard to picture the plate any other way. Yet the researchers who studied our centenarians found something striking. For most of their lives, nearly 60 parts in 100 of their food came from this one root. A slow carbohydrate that doesn't spike the blood the way white rice does. You don't have to give up rice forever. Only this. A few times a week, let a baked sweet potato take its place. Eat it warm, with the skin still on. That's all. That's the beginning. My father was no fisherman, but he knew the men who were. He'd come home in the evening with a few small fish wrapped in leaves. Sardine, mackerel, never very many. We were glad for them. Meat sat at the very edge of our table, when it came at all. The sea sat closer to the center, but modestly. Small, oily fish, a few times a week, and as the women aged, they kept the fish and let the heavy meat go. Perhaps your doctor has spoken to you about your heart. Perhaps you carry a worry there, the way so many women do after the change of life. That worry isn't foolish. It's wisdom, listening. In one study of more than 40,000 Japanese, the ones who ate fish often suffered far fewer heart attacks than those who ate little. So, begin small. 2 or 3 times a week, a piece of oily fish. It needn't be dear. A humble tin of sardines or mackerel will do. Let the meat become the guest at your table, no longer the host. There was a woman in my village named Haru-san, At 86, she still carried her own firewood up the hill. Her back was straight. Her step was sure. I asked her once how her bones stayed so strong when so many women her age had grown fragile and afraid. She only laughed. And she pointed at her breakfast bowl. It was not milk. We never drank the milk of cows. It was the bean. Soft tofu in the morning, miso in the soup, and natto, the fermented soybean, a few mornings a week. The women leaned on soy, not dairy, to keep their bones beneath them. If you're a woman past 50, you know this quiet fear already, that the bones grow thinner, that a single fall could change everything. I won't pretend that fear away. It's real, and you're right to listen to it. But Japanese researchers found that the women who ate natto often lost far less bone in the hip, more than 80 and 100 less than the women who didn't. You don't need a pharmacy for this. Add one soy food each day, a bowl of miso soup, a little tofu, a handful of edamame. If you take blood thinners, speak with your doctor before the natto. That's the only caution I'll give you. The next one, you can taste at your very next meal. And it's not what most people think. It asks you to add nothing at all. It's about something the women of Okinawa learned to take away without ever losing the flavor of their food. I must confess something to you. When I was a younger man, I salted everything. My mother scolded me for it. And as I grew older, my own blood pressure climbed. Until one day a doctor took my hand and said, gently, "Old friend, the salt is too much." So I learned what the old women had always known, that you can make food taste deep without a heavy hand of salt. Their secret was dashi, a broth of kelp and dried fish, and the savory flavor we call umami. I know that less salt sounds like a punishment. Bland, joyless, I feared the very same thing. I thought I'd never enjoy my own soup again. Yet Japan, by slowly lowering its salt over the years, from about 14 grams a day down to 9, watched its strokes and its heart deaths fall. Try this. Make a simple broth from a strip of kelp and a little dried fish, and cook with that instead of reaching for the salt jar. Drop in a dried mushroom for depth. Taste before you season. Your tongue will forgive you within a week. Mine did. There was a fruit seller in the morning market, an old man with a cart of tangerines and green papaya. The children would gather close, and he'd cut them slices. That was our candy. That and a roasted sweet potato in the cold of winter. We never grew a hunger for the Western sweets, the cakes, the sodas, the things in bright wrappers. The sweetness in our lives came from the earth, fruit in its season, and the soft sugar of the Imo itself. I'm not here to take your dessert from you. A sweet thing is one of life's small joys, and after all these years, you've earned your joys. But studies of many thousands have found that the people who took in the most added sugar, most of it from sweet drinks, left this life sooner from heart trouble than those who took little. So keep the joy. Only change where it comes from. Let fruit be your sweet. Let the sweet potato answer the craving. And of all things, set the sugary drink down first. That's where most of the harm has always hidden. Every morning of my life, before anything else, I make a small bowl of miso soup. The rising steam, the smell of the sea folded into it. That's how I greet the day. My mother did the same, and her mother before her. We didn't buy our food in boxes. We let time and salt and patience prepare it. Miso, natto, vegetables pickled in the crock. The women called them the living foods. In a busy life, the box is easy. The bag is fast. I don't blame a soul for reaching for them. The day is long, and tiredness is real, and we do what we can. And yet, in a study of more than 90,000 Japanese, the ones who ate the most fermented soy, miso, and natto were 10 in 100 less likely to die over those years than those who ate the least. 1 bowl of miso soup a day. That's the whole of it. Stir the miso in off the boil, so the living things inside it survive to do their slow work. Begin tomorrow morning while the kettle is still warm. And now, the last one. The food I told you they never gave up. Not in childhood, not in old age, not even on their final morning. Let me tell you what it was. When the tide drew back, the women would go down to the rocks together. Grandmothers, mothers, daughters, and gather seaweed into their baskets. They'd talk and laugh and come home carrying the garden of the sea. The little ones learned the names of each kind from hands older than their own. Kombu in the broth, wakame in the soup, mozuku eaten plain from the bowl. Every single day, in some small way, there was seaweed. It was the one thing that never once left their table. In the West, seaweed can seem strange, something from a far-off shore, not quite real food. I understand. To us, it was simply the air we breathed. And in a large Japanese study, the ones who ate seaweed often carried less heart disease. And the protection was strongest of all in the women. You can begin simply. A strip of kombu in the soup pot, a little wakame in that morning bowl of miso, a sheet of nori in your hand in place of the chips. The sea on your table every day. That was the one they never gave up. Not because a study told them to, but because it tasted of home and of every woman who had gathered it before them. So there they are, 7 foods. The white rice they set aside for the purple root, the heavy meat they traded for small fish, the cow's milk they never needed because they had the bean, the salt they softened with the broth of the sea, the western sweets they walked past for fruit and sweet potato, the boxed food they left behind for the living foods, the miso and the natto, and the seaweed, the one they never ever gave up. Do you see it now? It was never about hunger, never about fear. It was about choosing, gently, the things that loved them back. You don't have to change it all tonight. Choose one. Begin this week. That's how the women of my islands did it. One quiet bowl at a time. I'm only an old man, sharing what my islands taught me. If these words gave you something, stay with me a while. There's more to tell. Next time, I'll speak of the morning the women of Okinawa kept for themselves. The first hour after waking, and the quiet thing they did with it that kept their mind so clear for so long. Until then, be gentle with yourself and eat as though you intend to live a long, long time.